Everyone's out here asking which stock to buy first, and meanwhile, they haven't got a single month of rent saved up. That's like strapping on a jetpack before you've learned to walk. Exciting in theory, catastrophic in practice. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people who blow up their investment accounts don't lose because they picked the wrong ticker. They lose because life happened and they had no cushion. A car repair, a medical bill, a surprise layoff, and suddenly your long-term portfolio becomes your emergency ATM. The classic advice you've heard 1,000 times is 3 to 6 months of expenses. And yes, it's classic because it works. But that number was basically invented in a pre-gig economy, pre-inflation spiral world. So we need to have a real conversation about whether it still holds up. Think of your emergency fund like the foundation of a house you wouldn't start decorating the living room while the concrete is still wet. Without that foundation, every market dip doesn't just feel uncomfortable. It forces you to make emotional, desperate decisions that destroy returns. Here's where behavioral economics gets fascinating. Studies show that investors without liquidity buffers are dramatically more likely to sell at the bottom of a crash. They're not dumb, they're just cornered. And a cornered investor is a losing investor almost every single time. Now, the financial media loves to make this feel complicated, but the math is almost embarrassingly simple. Add up your rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, transportation, and minimum debt payments. That's your monthly survival number. And you multiply it by 3, 6, or more depending on your situation. If you've got a stable 9-to-5 with solid HR benefits and a partner who also earns income, 3 months is probably your floor. But if you're freelancing, running a small business, or working in a volatile industry, you are genuinely living closer to the edge. And 6 to 12 months isn't paranoia, it's prudence. Here's the irony that nobody talks about. The people most eager to start investing are often the ones least financially prepared to survive a downturn. The market doesn't care about your enthusiasm, and it absolutely will test your conviction the moment your savings account hits zero. There's a persistent myth that keeping cash on the sidelines means you're losing to inflation. And while yes, inflation is real, the cost of a forced liquidation at the wrong moment is almost always worse. Selling your S&P 500 index fund during a panic to cover a transmission repair is a 100% guaranteed loss, not a hypothetical one. History rhymes beautifully here. Look at 2008. Look at March 2020. The investors who survived and thrived were not necessarily the smartest ones. They were the ones who had enough dry powder and personal liquidity that they didn't have to touch their portfolios while everyone else was screaming. So here's the practical playbook. Build your fund in a high-yield savings account, not under your mattress and not in the market. Automate a fixed transfer every payday until you hit your target. Treat it like a bill you owe your future self, and don't count it as an investment because it isn't one, it's insurance. The goal isn't to hoard cash forever. It's to cross a finish line and then redirect that same disciplined saving energy into your brokerage or retirement account. Process beats conviction. Patience beats timing. And position size, meaning not betting more than you can afford to lose, beats almost every other variable in long-term wealth building. Philosophically speaking, the emergency fund isn't a delay to your investing journey. It's the first investment you make in your own psychological stability. And a calm, rational investor who sleeps well at night will always outperform the anxious one, refreshing their portfolio at 2 in the morning. Whatever the market does next month or next year, you'll be genuinely okay with any outcome if you've done the preparation. And that's not passivity, that's the actual definition of financial strength. Check out our links in the description below where we can help you get started, whether in real estate investing, home contracting work, or finding the right lenders for your next move.